Market update on the 9th. So I'm starting to have a suspicion about what's going on. So I think that this, before I had this as a fourth wave, we're working on the fifth wave. Still entirely possible. We started the 5-wave move down here at the end of the day. We've been talking about. And this could just come down here and this ends up being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like that, and then we bounce into FOMC or into CPI. But I was looking at IWM, and IWM and a few other ones too. They're starting to look to me more like ABC. And so on this, you can see when we zoom in here, this right here is ABC. So this is actually A, B, and this would have to be C right here. And so if that's the case, we're actually looking at this as being A, B, C as well. And so if that's the case, we can look at this parallel line here from where it starts. And this only comes to about 182. The top here is at 189. So I would expect about 7 points lower than this, maybe like 172. And 172 ends up being right at the 1.61 fib. So I have a suspicion that SPY actually might be similar. And that actually supports I'll show you here in a second, but this would actually make sense because this would end up being like that. Might as well just go ahead and get IWM out of the way. So if you look at the whole move now, this would end up being, let's see, the bottom is right here. This would end up being, we'll use WXY. WXY. And then we of course have the B wave right here, or the X wave. So we'll label that X. And then we have W. And then this whole move right here would end up being X, I think. Let's see. Let's see, WXY, this must be the whole move right here, X over here. And then we're looking at WX down here, actually. Y up here. So if you look at the fibs of the initial move, that's up here right at 199. That could be a potential target after we sell off to 172. So that makes more sense than anything, just because that simple giveaway right here, the very top of this, it's not an impulsive move. That gives away the whole move. It looks like this is potentially ABC, B, and we're working on an ABC move down here to 172. And that would actually make this an expanded flat. So we would be looking at this as, and then you can see also, look at that, the 1.61 fib of that goes to 200 as well. So if that is the case, that would mean there is not that much more downside in IWM, and the whole move would be looking like this. The whole move would be W, X, Y, like that. If we zoom out even farther, you'll see that that actually turns in this whole move. We never actually finished the X wave. That makes this whole thing, that's crazy. it's crazy how this is coming into view now. It makes this whole move as, this whole thing is W, and then we got A, B, C, X. So we haven't even started, and it's crazy how one index can show you the rest of them. That means we hadn't even started this move yet. And it means that we're probably going to start it in a while. So my overall target is still 138 on this. But I think that there's a good chance that we are only in the X wave of this whole move. We'll see. So that's kind of my reasoning on IWM. So then you go look at SPY, and this is potentially the same thing. I don't want to rule out the 5-wave move, but as I see things change, I have to change it to the most likely scenario. And so if that is the case, we'd be looking at A, B, C. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we'd be looking at this as A, could be potentially B still, and we get a C wave up here going into like CPI or FOMC. So it could be, I was looking at this on lower time frames, and it looks like we got A, and this looks like a B wave to me. So I think there's a potential that it came past there. I think there's potential that we are looking at an expanded flat on this area too. Targets would probably be around 392. So if that's the case, then we would get a C wave up into FOMC or CPI. And the thing that's great about this too is let's say we just go to the very top of this range, 397 again. Then we're looking at 409, 397, 12 points lower than 391, which takes us to about 380. And there is a gap to fill down there. 380 down here. That would make this the overall B wave somewhere in this range, probably next week, I would say. And if it follows the IWM model, then we are looking at, let me zoom out. We are looking at this whole thing actually ended up being A right here. Oh, let's just call it W, just like IWM. Let me get rid of all these. So many markings. We got this whole thing would end up being W, X, Y. And the thing is, the target on that, let's say we go down to 380. And let's say that happens next Thursday. The target I don't know about 434. I think the target would probably still be, I don't know, I guess 380 minus 32 points higher than, that would be crazy if we went to 434. But that's the same thing as IWM, is IWM came up here and same thing. It would end up being A, B, C, and then this would be the overall B wave. From a strategy perspective, it makes a lot of sense for them to just burn the heck out of all the puts, because you know there's so many puts, everyone's, including myself, I've been waiting for a huge dip. This would destroy all the puts if they could melt this up for another month or so. And so we got to be aware of this if this happens. So basically my recommendation is to, if it ends up being a 5-wave move, you're probably going to want to sell down in here and wait for a bounce to reload. If we get down here to 380, then obviously take full profit. Get out of all your positions, because that's most likely going to just be the X wave overall. So W, X, and we're probably going to get a Y wave up here. Despite what the dollar is showing me, this would probably mean the dollar is going to go lower. So it doesn't make a lot of sense with the dollar, but that makes a lot of sense compared, like IWM. Let's go to Dow Jones and look at the same thing on the other indexes and just see if it looks similar. Got to be a detective, because if you just get on one bias and then you stick with it the whole time, you're going to eventually get burned. On Dow Jones, I just want to see if this is an ABC pattern as well. So it's pretty similar to SPY, where you can't really tell on this move right here. It looks like it could be a first wave. So very similar to SPY. And so obviously I'm keeping up the 5-wave move as well. We'll have to just watch it and see what happens. Let's look at QQQ. So QQQ, same thing as SPY. I already have it labeled here. I guess I don't know for sure. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Same thing, where it's IWM is the only one that looks like it is a definite ABC pattern. So I'm going to keep the 5-wave move on the table and then the ABC pattern. ABC pattern, we're looking at potentially all the way down to the low 380s, maybe just 385. If it ends up being a 5-wave move, then we're just looking for a bottom between probably somewhere in the low 390s, potentially all the way down here to 386, 388, and then a bounce. But one thing that I can say for sure is I don't think we've bottomed yet. So either if it's a 5-wave move, we're going down at least 390. If it's ABC, we're going down to 380. So we'll see what happens on Monday. The dollar, one more time to look at that, is dollar. Again, it's coming back in here to the first wave. I think we have to watch this range still, 105.84 to 104.13. I'm waiting for it to break one way. So we should get that next week with CPI and the Fed speaking. So that's pretty much it. But that noticing on IWM just brought in another possibility. So let's just look at the long-term view now real quick. Long-term view, the two possibilities that I see are ABC, that's the bullish one for the B wave there, or B waves here, and we're looking at this being either A, B, and immediately starting it down here for the C wave, or it's a 5-wave move, and we're looking at it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got bullish, we got bearish scenarios. I think next week we should get a pretty clear picture of if this is ABC off the top on lower time frames, or if it is a 5-wave move. So we'll find out on Monday morning. That's it. Like and subscribe for more updates, and let me know if you have any questions or any tickers you want done. But that's it. Have a good weekend.